Big breaking story, Syria has reportedly accepted a deal to give up its weapons to international control. If that is true and if that goes through, how will that affect the president's big speech to the United States tonight? Now, he had talked about the possibility of a deal during his media blitz last night.
Because we've seen Assad's willingness to use chemical weapons, we're going to have to go further and give the international community assurances that they will not be used, potentially by getting them out of there. At minimum, making sure that international control over those chemical weapons takes place.
Well, political science professor Jason Johnson is joining us now with more on this new development. So, you know, obviously the president has this speech that is planned for 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, but I'm still thinking about the real logistics if this turns out to be something that goes through, meaning a deal with Syria to give up its chemical weapons. How does that happen quickly? Because that's kind of what the Secretary of State indicated needed to happen.
Well, that's what's being determined right now. The French have just rushed to the UN with their own proposal that puts sort of triggers in place for, and as well as timelines. And I think that's one of the things that the president will probably talk about tonight. He doesn't want this to be a delaying tactic. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton just said the same thing. So if all of this can be arranged within about the next month to 6 weeks, the process of going in, acquiring the weapons and taking them out, I think every side will be satisfied. But that hasn't quite been hammered out yet.
You know, there was a lot of concern about American troops having to be there and being a part of not only a military strike, but now if there is, in fact, an international deal, a diplomatic solution, I'm not sure if we have any answers regarding that.
Well, we don't yet. And I think what's likely to happen, if it's an international coalition that goes in to extract these weapons, the likelihood that there will be a massive American presence is very small. In fact, the Syrians will probably say, we really don't want the Americans there. But if the Russians and the French and the British and the Australians, if other countries want to come in and secure these weapons, we're fine with it. So I don't ever think that boots on the ground was a real possibility in Syria. And I think with this deal, it's even less likely.
You know, for a while, the critics of President Obama said that he looked indecisive. His leadership skills were being questioned because of the red line talk and then chemical weapons looking like they were being used and then nothing being done for quite some time. Now, if there is an international diplomatic deal that goes through, does it look like this is what the president meant all along?
Yeah, you know, a lot of this, it's always a Rorschach test. If you don't like President Obama, then you think he's leading from behind. And I can't believe the Russians have come up with this plan and bailed him out. If you support the president or if you have a different view of international politics, you're saying this is how the world should work, where the mere threat from the United States can get people to move the levers of democracy and the levers of diplomacy faster than ever before. So I think it's always going to be a split as to how this is viewed. But again, if the end result is fewer chemical weapons and less lives lost that way in Syria, it's got to be a victory for the President of the United States.
All right. I bet, though, that the speechwriter is going to be making changes and edits until the moment that the president goes on at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, as I'm sure that the comments and the information regarding a possible deal will be fast changing. Jason, thank you very much. And we'll be covering any of the breaking news. There is breaking news of